Urhobo. Let's talk about the relationship between the ancient Ijaw people and the ancient Urhobo people. Now, looking at it very well, you can discover that there are many Urhobo communities. In fact, clans that has become a larger mass of the Ijaw nation. And again, there are pure Urhobo communities right now, like the Ofoni, like Baigolo, that are now becoming part of the Ijaw nation because of their geographical location. They are gathered, they are mixed up with Ijaws, forming a larger combination of that Urhobo people that are there. But we as Urhobo people, we need to come together and make sure we create a belonging with those our brothers that are far from the central Urhobo people. They are Urhobo people. There's no difference between Urhobos right here in the Delta, in the Edo territory, in the Ondo territory, and that of the one in the Bayelsa territory, or the one at the end of the Delta territories. They are all Urhobo people. They are all children of Idu through our father known as Aka. Well, let's go down to history to tell you how the first meet between the Urhobo people and the Ijaw people. I've already told you guys the foundation of the place known as Udo. It's founded by a man known as Udo, the son of Aka. And Aka was the son of Idu, and Idu was the son of Ere. Now, let's talk about Udo. Udo was founded by a man known as Udo, who moved some 50 kilometers from the place known as Ugbehaka, the quarters of Aka, which became the ancestral home of everybody. Aka was buried in that particular territory at his demise, and that became the ancestral home of the Urhobo people and even the current day Edo people as well. Now, let's go down to history. Later on, the one they call Udo moved some 50 kilometers away from the central house because of there was an issue between Aka and his younger brother known as Efa and Eme, who decided to work against the rules of Aka. So once upon a time, the whole territory was seen as Aka. That is why the Urhobo people, the ancient Urhobo people, refer that place to become Aka until today. Udo, 50 kilometers, because he was looking for peace, went to the place known as Udo and established itself right there. Udo became so prosperous, great and influential, and succeeded for 1,655 years before Igodomigodo kingdom was established. What now happened? The establishment of Igodomigodo kingdom by same man from Udo, whose ancestors are from Udo. The particular name of this man was regarded to be Igodo. And Igodo's father was known as Orudu, Udo, the heart of the matter from Udo. It was the man that bettered this son known as Igodo. Igodo established Igodomigodo kingdom 40 BCE until he ruled to 16 AD, while his son took over, rather grandson took over, known as Ogiso Ere, and ruled from 16 AD to 66 AD. And thereby the son of Ere took over, known as Orire, and ruled from 66 AD to 100 AD, until there was an interregnum trying to change the primogeniture system from father to elder son, and it began to rotate among each other of the Urhobo people. Why I use the word Urhobo? I use the word Urhobo to cover Edo people, to cover Esan people, because it means Pa Idu and his family gates. So when I use Urhobo, it covers the Edo people, it covers the Esan people, it covers the Esako people, everybody that is related to Benin. The word Urhobo covers all of them. So don't be offended when I use the word Urhobo. It is the native and traditional way for our people of Edo, Urhobo, Esan to describe ourselves as family lineage of Pa Idu. Now let's come down. When Ogiso Igodo established itself and created the Igodomigodo kingdom, it became prosperous. But the people of Udo, which was 50 kilometers away from their ancestral home, which is known as Ogbehaka, refused to join, because majority of this family of the Aka moved towards those territory and became competitive to the ancestral home known as Ogbehaka. That place became prosperous, great and influential. So they were independent of the place known as Ogbehaka, or other places which is found in the present day Benin known as Ugbekun and the rest as well. Ugbekun actually became the first capital of Igodomigodo kingdom. which was the mother home of Ogiso Igodo. Now, as I said earlier, the place known as Udo was far away and refused to be part of this particular territory because he was earning for himself, and the place became great and influential, such that, in fact, Udo was seen as Lagos of today. It was very prosperous, just like you have Abuja as the capital of Nigeria, but Lagos is the center of commerce, center of excellence. So that was how Udo looked like then. Now, coming down to the history, you discover that there are many Ogisus that ruled until the time of the Efa lineage, known as a man called Oriogba. Oriogba ruled after the ruling time of a man known as Ogisu Ediaye. Before Ediaye was Ogisu Agbonseke. Ogisu Agbonseke can be traced down to the Aka lineage as well. Then falling down to the time of Oriogba, Oriogba as well sat on the throne and brought back what you know as a primogeniture system for father to elder son. And the son took over, and this became a system for father to elder son, never to be changed until later on, the end time of Ogiso Ehenede, it was reversed back again to another family gate. Well, let us go down to history and explain this deeply to you. At the reign of Ogiso Odelige, he decided to bring everybody that are connected to Idu, whether far or near. And one of these goals was the place known as Oronigbe, which happens to be another Urhobo communities. This place was established by the sister of Aka due to the closeness to the river Oluku, which we know today as Ethiop River, because that place was the place they worship their ancestor. Oronigbe was seen as the place of worship, the family gate of worship, the worship organ. It's like when we talk about people that are attracted to Pastor T.B. Joshua Church, Synagogue Church of All Nations, coming from every part of the world towards that particular territory, known as Lagos, in Synagogue Church of All Nations. Exactly the same description. That was what happened to the place known as Oronigbe, created by the daughter of Pa Idu. Same mother with Aka, but different mother with the Efa and Emein. So she established that particular place, and the place became center of worship. So it was a family gate of worship. People moved from different places and come to that particular place to worship. So that place was also very prosperous and influential, great. It was a spiritual center of worship of the people. So many of the Urhobo people lived in that particular territory and was highly dominated, including the one they called Oromena, was also a community of Urhobo people filled with Aka. They were also Efa, but that place was owned by the Aka people majorly. Those places were independent of Ugbekun, which was the initial capital of Igodomigodo. You see? Now, what now happened to the connection of Ijaws? The Ijaw people heard about the place known as Udo, so they moved from the Wilberforce territory of Bayelsa State and arrived at that place known as Udo. Remember, I told you this was the time before the reign of Ogiso Agbonseke. Agbonseke is regarded to become Agbon Isiokolo. Agbon Isiokolo, as a monarch, became a reverend figure to Ogene. You see, if you want to consult Ogene, they believe that this particular man was the one that brought the spirit to reach God in those days. Now, I'll break it down for you to understand when it comes to the story, the history of Ogiso Agbonseke. I will give you the details, everything from A to Z, but not today. So before the reign of Ogiso Agbonseke, that was when the Ijaw people arrived. They did not arrive at the place known as Igodomigodo Kingdom. They moved to the place known as Udo. Udo wasn't part of Igodomigodo Kingdom initially. In fact, they were not in support because they were independent, making great profit. They were very successful, doing everything possible to enlarge themselves, and they were so large, prosperous. In fact, the place known as Udo, the first ever market you can see in the present day Benin and formerly Igodomigodo Kingdom, and before Igodomigodo Kingdom, for some 1,655 years ago, before Igodomigodo was established, was known as Ekiaka, and that market was established in the north in the northwest of Benin. That place is known as Udo. Udo has the first and most important market in ancient of days in the whole of West African territory. And that place is known as Ikiaka. It was established by the son of Aka, known as Udo. And that market was used on several occasions to calculate their calendar, to calculate their days, in fact, many activities. In the land of Aka, they have their own artifacts. They have their own calendar. You see, they have their own sign language. So the people were more advanced ahead of time when it comes to the Aka lineage. So they brought many ancient technology. We can refer it to become technology then, but now you can't see, you can't call it technology. But in ancient of days, we call it technology. So their own technology, in order to put things to the modern world, calculating ahead of time, they did it. This Aka lineage. And this Aka has spread across West Africa until date. They are all children of Idu. Now, let's come down. And this particular territory that was responsible for this was known as Udo. And this Udo majorly are of Urhobo people, because Udo was the founder, who happens to be Aka's son and Urhobo man. Do not forget, everybody was seen as Urhobo people then, which means the family gate of Idu. But the one of Aka, the one of Efarada and Emein rejected. So Aka now took that name and that family gate for himself and became prosperous. Let me break it down. As I said, before the reign of Ogiso Agbonsike, that was when the Ijaw people arrived. That was when we had an encounter with Ijaw. We know Ijaw. You see, that was a particular time. But we know the people they called Igala very long time ago in the place known as Uhe. But when we get closer to the Ijaw was the time, or before the time of Ogiso Agbonsike. On their arrival, the Ijaw people brought their own business. This business is what you know today as bone, amending of bones. You see, body massage. They are the one that brought it there. And it was a good and massive combination between the Ijaws and the Urhobo people in the land of Udo, because they have ideas, they have their own way of thinking, and they brought a new way to make success and economic development towards that particular territory. So two of them became close. So the first people the Ijaw found love and bromance with were the Urhobo people. So the connection between Ijaw and Urhobo was old. The Ijaw people initially, they did not meet the Urhobo people of the ancestral home, which is known as Ogbelaka, or the one in Igodomigodo. No, they went far away to go and meet that other Urhobo people. And that was where majority of the Urhobo people now lived, moving from the place of Ogbelaka, Ugbeko, and the rest, and they went to that particular territory to establish themselves. So the Ijaw people went there and met those Urhobos, and they found love together. Marriage began to happen. Now, what now happened? After Agbonsike, Ediaye ruled. After Ediaye, Oryogba ruled. Oryogba is from the family gate of Efa and decided to hold this system from father to son, not to be shared to any other person. That became a problem. Now, the son of Oryogba was known as Odilige. Odilige sat on the throne. Oryogba prepared Odilige life for war. He brought a man known as Idudum. This man is from the northeast of Benin, across the Niger, and we can actually say this man is an Igala man, because we know the connection between Igala in Uhe, because the second wife of Paidu was an Igala woman, and the man known as Ajama was very close to that woman. So you see, so in the Efa lineage, there is Igala connection. So on the time of Ogiso Oryogba and Odilige, they are also their mothers, the lineage are also of Igala. So when Odilige sat on that throne, he brought a man, and this particular man was very influential in defeating the Urhobo people of Udo. So his name was known as Idudu. Another man was also there again, known as Iken. Another man was also there again, known as Ozwa. But Iken Ozwa was trained by a man known as Ojanoma, who happens to be an Urhobo man. So Ojanoma was one of the most strongest native doctors of his time. He trained that man known as Ozwa and Iken, and also engaged in the power of Idudu as well. But he never knew that those people are doing this to go and defeat his own people, known as the Urhobo people of Udo. Until later on, when they had this power, the man known as Oswa Aniken, they now went back and spied the man known as Ojanoma. When Ojanoma was spied, that was when the defeat started. They began to move into the place of Udo and defeated the Urhobo peoples right there. Many of the Urhobo people fled. So they believed that the only place God can protect them at that time was the place known as Oronigbe, which is the place of worship. Oronigbe means the family gate of worship. The family gate of worship. And in those days, the best way to worship God, after putting their representative, maybe all this woodwork artifacts, they put it down. And this is what they connect their spirit towards Ogene in those days. Now, those things were in the place known as Oronigbe. So the family gate of these people were known as Urhobo people. Aka and his sister, they were the one living in that particular territory. Aka, descendant, and the sister living in that particular territory. They were so close in worshiping Ogene. Now, the one in Udo believe that this place will give them security because they believe that Ogene is in that particular place more than any other place of the ancestral home of all the Urhobo people, including the Efa and Emein. So, arriving at that territory, it actually happened. When Odelige came to that place, he did everything possible to defeat them, though he defeated Oromena, which is also a part of Oronigbe. But trying everything possible to defeat Oronigbe, it wasn't successful. In fact, he had a dream that came as well, which I will explain to you later on as well on another video. But on that dream, a summary of it, the dream was all about he will not succeed defeating the Urhobo people of Oronigbe. He will not. So that was how it happened. He never succeeded, defeated those people. Now, the Edion, consisting of the Olea and the rest, decided to say, it is enough. Our people are running away from our land. And in few time, it will get to an extent that this place will become empty. Please. They pleaded Odelige and decided to say, ceasefire. And that was how it was seized. Oronigbe was not defeated any day. So many people came into Oronigbe. Now, after the reign of Odelige, there were people who were preparing ahead. So you can see from Udo, from many quarters of Urhobo were defeated. Many quarters of Urhobo were defeated. Many communities, they ran into Udo because they believe that is the place of God. Now, what later happened? On that particular place, people were preparing, trying to discover new places to go, including the Ijaw peoples who also fled into the place known as Oronigbe, meeting with the Urhobo people as well. Now, later on, I told you, the ancestral home of the Ijaw peoples are originally found in the place known as the Wilberforce territory in the current day Bayelsa territory. You see, these are the original place of the Ijaw people. All these places moving to Baramatu has not been created. Nothing like that were existing. Oporuza, all those places were not. I will tell you the history of Oporuza. Baramatu, I will tell you, all those places have not been existing then. So it was that center of the Bayelsa territory, that was the place. That was the initial home, a small settlement of the Ijaw people. Then they haven't spread. There are also Ijaws in the Obolo territory as well. From that central Bayelsa towards the Obolo territory, there are Ijaw. But all this Baramatu, all this Apoi, in all those places, coming from Edo towards the Ondo State, Egbema people, all those pushing towards those territory, they were not anything like Ijaws right there. We see coming to the Delta territory, Egbema, all the rest, they were nothing like Ijaw people right there. Now, going down to other parts of Ijaws as well, it was that center of Bayelsa territory, moving a little bit to the rivers, the Obolo people, that were ancient people. So, later on, those Ijaw people left the side known as Oronigbe, mixing with that of the people of Idu through Aka in that place known as Oronigbe, and they moved together. Those Ijaw people now told them that there's a particular place you will go, which are our ancestral home, and we will live comfortably. So, the people known as Erowa today, they moved to the original territory you know as Bayelsa, and they live with those Ijaw people. But they could not because they are not originally water people. The water they have is the water you know as the Ethiop River, which is River Olokun, not the ocean. So in that Bayelsa territory, those places was seen as ocean, salt water. So they could not live there. They decided to push back to the place known closer to Patani territory and establish themselves. That was how Erowa was established. Erowa people were seen by the central people of Igodomigodo later on as people who were far away from home, and that was how the name came. Erowa, far away from home, in the bush side, they are far away from home. They move away to territories that are not inhabited by people. That is the meaning of the name. Erowa, they are far away from home. You see, to the bush territory, water territory, bush territory, far away from the home. That is the meaning of the name Erowa. So it was people in the central part of the Urhobo people that describe their brothers that they have left and they are far away from home. And I will also tell you the etymology of the word Ogogwa later on. Also almost the same thing with Erowa. So I will tell you, I saw a particular story where there was a particular write-up that Ogogwa was the second son of Oba Esigi. Oh Lord, Urhobo people have seen a lot. It wasn't so. Ogogwa have been existing so many years ago before Esigi was born. In fact, Esige's father wasn't born then before Ogogwa. Esige's father wasn't born then. So if you are writing your history, be very careful, ladies and gentlemen. I am talking about our Benin brothers and also our Urhobo brothers. So Ogogwa, in fact, the fifth king. Let me use let me not use the fifth king. Let me use the first king of Ugele was 1440. 1440, Esige became royal in Benin Kingdom in 1504. But you can see the first king of Ogogwa group, which happens to be Ugele, in 1440. Now, Ugele was the son of Ogogwa. You see, and Ugele, the son of Ogogwa, did not started in 1440. That was the royalty in 1440. Ugele has been there some many years. You see, some 200 years before 1440, ladies and gentlemen, the royalty started in 1440, and the first king used the name of the founder of that clan known as Ugele to name himself. Originally, the first king was known as Awaide. Awaide now used the title of his ancestor known as Ugele to represent himself. And that was the name used, Ugele, as the first king. But originally it was not Ugele. So don't see that maybe the direct son of Ogogwa, known as Ugele, was the one that ruled in 1440. No, that was his clan. And a descendant under him, known as Awaide, was the one that uses that title, known as Ugele, to represent. So Ugele has been there some 200 years. You see, some 200 years before 1440. And the movement of Ogogwa group of people was exactly the time of the arrival of Oromiyan, which happened to be 1170. But right now, we are not talking about this particular one. I'm mentioning Ugele instead of Ugo. Though, why I use Ugele? Because Ugele was the first gazetted king, you see, in the whole territory of the present-day Urhobo people in Delta Central, Delta South, spread across Bayelsa and all that territory as well. That is why I use Ugele. But Ugele was not the first clan. We have Ugo. Among others, they were the first clan.